Hi, this is Linda West with Living Live, and today I really am honored and privileged to share with you a gentleman by the name of Tucker Bearden. And Tucker, today we're going to talk about Asperger's, and we're going to talk about anxiety. So if you know anybody who has Asperger's, anxiety, or anything like that that prevents them maybe from doing the things they want to do or from succeeding, please share this out because we want to make sure we get this information out to as many people as possible. And Tucker's going to talk about like why he is like an authority to be able to talk about this and then share with you some tips and tricks that you can do to help you out. Now, Tucker is a keynote speaker. Let's see, hold on here. Okay, Tucker is a keynote speaker, theoretical physicist, and an Asperger's advocate. He says, be the blessing for others and you will live within blessings. So true, so true. Now, after enduring homelessness, addiction, multiple failed suicide attempts, and a long walk through the darkness, Tucker found his purpose in serving others by sharing the knowledge he's been blessed with. Welcome, Tucker, to the show. I'm so excited to have you here and to share you and your knowledge, your wisdom with everybody. Because, you know, sometimes you guys, when Tucker speaks, you want to listen up, okay? So before we get started, I want to share with you that if you are watching this on the replay, please type replay in the comments below. And if you're watching us live and you have questions, comments you want to ask during the show, please go ahead and put those in the comments. We'll address them while we're live. If you're watching the replay, put your questions and comments below, and Tucker will see those questions, you know, later on, whether it's next week, next month, next year, because sometimes people actually hop on some of my shows a year later, and it's really cool. So Tucker, welcome to the show, and I'm really excited to have you here and share your knowledge with everybody and help them to see how they can succeed, you know, going through some of the situations that you've gone through. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. I know that you were an amazing guest on my show, and we had a lot of fun there. We'll have a lot of
Thank
fun
you.
today. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. Now, if you want to find Tucker, I just want to show this right up front, is go to tuckerbearden.com, BEARDEN.com. You can find Tucker over there. So if you have questions, again, put them in the comments below. So Tucker, how did you, well, let's just the very first question I'm going to ask, like, first of all, how did you become homeless? And then how did you come out of homelessness?
Well, I had when I was younger, like I said, one of the things that part of my story is I was fired from over 20 different jobs. Just like I, no matter, it's when I go and I will try to work a 9 to 5, it never ends up well. Whether I have a panic attack or I just get overwhelmed by being around other people, then not being allowed to redesign anything. So I ended up selling weed, and a lot of it, like on a big scale. And I found then that K2 and fake weed came out. I started making and selling that, and on a even bigger scale. And I got into some trouble because some guys with fully automatic weapons came into our house and they did what they did. But so I ended up getting kicked out of the house because I moved my operation in there for a short period of time, and so I was in the streets. Well, I took refuge under a bridge, and I built up my little shelter out of rocks and mud. I made little walls to keep from the wind. I had a little fire pit and everything of that nature. So it wasn't too bad until it got cold, and then
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty bad then. The ice. Well, I woke up one morning and everything was covered in ice, and that was wicked. But how I got out of it was I went.
Wait,
I
wait,
ended
wait.
up going. Go
Wait,
ahead.
because there's a part of the story that's missing here, and that's that because you said, because you were selling weed, then did you, and then the automatic weapons, but what was that all about? Was that the police? Was that some drug
Uh,
lords or
uh,
like,
I redid I like re-engineered the way that the game was done, and it worked really well. And I actually I even designed my own language, and I would turn people's names into shapes, and then those shapes into and then translate those shapes into the other language. The language was known as teal. I created it when I was in elementary school, but we used it to do a three-tier encoded system to keep track of all sales and customers without anyone being able to track it. So, for instance, my name in the language would be Tuvsi Kilefri Speak Ep. That's Tucker Bearden.
What?
And that
What would my name
translates
be? What would my name be?
your name. How do you spell your name?
Oh, Lynda, and then West is my real name.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Lim, it'll be. Oh, that's a hard one. Lim.
Oh, good.
Oh goodness, it is a hard. Give me 1 second. I'm actually going. I have to write it down
Okay.
and see it.
Okay, cool. So what Tucker's doing right now is he created a language when he was in elementary school, a totally different language. And so what he's doing right now is that he shared with us what his name is in that language. We'll have him say it again because I was like, what? It's like 200 letters. I don't know. So I asked him, what's my name in that language? And so he wasn't able to do it. You'll look at visualizing it in his head, but he's going to share it with us in just a second here. I can't wait to see what it is. Hey, Kristen, good to see you. Hey, girl, are you at work right now? Good to see you live. If you have any questions, while we're going during this interview, go ahead and ask your questions below, or if you have any comments, comment below. So we were talking about how Tucker, he had been homeless. And so talking about how he became homeless. And then what we're going to talk about in just a second is how he came out of his homelessness, because, what he's done since then is absolutely amazing. And so he was sharing this story of how he became homeless. And part of that story is talking about how he created this different language when he was young, in elementary school. And then he carried this language into his business, which was selling drugs. Okay. So.
Yeah. Okay. I figured it out. It's Lemieux no diable wix f situv.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So that sounds Russian. I don't know.
It is similar, but I actually created it by reverse engineering Egyptian hieroglyphs, and that was how I was writing it down, and I combined the Egyptian, Russian, and American language, and I used the American alphabet to create it. So that would be your name.
So that would be kind of fun, Tucker. If you don't mind, I'm going to throw this out there. Is that anybody who comments that Tucker will write what's the name of the language you created?
Teal.
Teal, like Teal, like that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Teal. Okay. So is that okay if I ask you to anybody who comments below that you will write their Teal name?
Sure.
That would be kind of fun. So, give him some time, of course, you guys. He's not going to do it right now. But so Kristen, Kristen, you win. He's going to translate your name into Teal. Kristen Miracle. Her name is spelled really differently. So that one might take you a while. Look at Krysten. Can you see it up on your screen there?
No, I can't. My screen doesn't show any comments.
Oh, okay. So it's Krysten. Let's just do her first name.
Okay.
So the Teal language. I want to hear how did you come up with? Are you able to do that while you're talking to me?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. So how did you come up with Teal? Does it stand for? Is it an acronym, or how did you come up with that?
It does stand for something, and I don't remember what it stands for. I created the language when I was in elementary school. I don't remember exactly what it stood for exactly. It was Tucker's everyday
something language or something.
Yeah. Tucker's evolved what was Tucker's evolved something language. I don't remember.
Absolute. There we go. Tucker's
it was something. I don't remember.
Yeah, Kristen, you win all the time, girl.
No, it was her name. Kristen would be Kilris Zid. Kilris Yesitu. Dog it. Kilris Yesituvno.
There you go, Kristen. That's your name. I'm going to start calling you that.
Kilris Yesituvno. And mine Tucker Bearden would be Tusid Kelefris Big Afrip the Ethno.
So by using the language, it made it easy for you to communicate with your people, and then difficult for anybody else to communicate with you guys.
Impossible.
Impossible. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Using hieroglyphs and all that stuff. Okay, so let's. Okay, now you were there under the bridge. It was really cold, and then what happened after that?
I ended up going to another town, and I stayed there for a little while, and I eventually got to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and when I got here, I found a job working with thoroughbred racehorses. Well, it was 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and
Wow.
yeah, no days off. I think it was for like 3 years straight. I didn't get a single day off. Something like that. But anyway, I was traveling with the horses, so I ended up traveling to Louisville, Kentucky. And whenever I got there, like I was living in a 10 by 10 concrete room. I was like by myself, working every single day. I was basically going stir crazy, and I was looking for free movies on YouTube, and I came across TED Talks, and my life changed forever. Like I saw Ty Lopez's talk, and I saw Simon Sinek start with why, and my world completely shifted. I knew
So
in that
how?
moment that I was supposed to do.
So did you? So as far as like the start with why, Simon Sinek's video, how did you discover what your why was, and how long did it take you? Because like mine took literally 2 weeks. Like I sat and that's all I did for 2 weeks was discover that. So what was the process for you, and what is your why, and how long did it take for you to discover it?
Well, my why is this: is I have a motto. Part of it is what you said earlier: be the blessing for others, and you'll live within blessings. But my main motto is this: is that if you can be the spark that lights the way through the darkness for even a single person, your entire life will have been worthwhile. And I work to do that every single day, and to impact at least one person in a way that they'll never forget for the rest of their life. And now how I came to that was I was watching these videos, and Simon Sinek's video was start with why, and he was explaining how if people in the world or business, regardless of what the situation is, if you start with the reason why you do something, then you're more apt to succeed and attract more people that would be willing to work with you. So I was like, okay, well, this whole starting a business thing seems hard, but I might as well try it, do something. But I wanted to
Mhm.
be a public speaker, and I had this horrible anxiety. So I was like, well, you got to learn to overcome that, because my anxiety was so bad. I had panic attacks just going to Walmart because there's so many people. Like when I was
Mhm.
in open spaces in the middle of the mall, like they've got the long walkways, I would walk real close to the wall and sit there and be shaking and sweating because it just was an overwhelming sensation. And I've had 2 heart attacks. I'm 25 years old,
Wow.
so it's due to anxiety. And so what I did was I was like, man, there's got to be a way to overcome this. And it came to me in a flash. Pizza. Pizza was the answer to all my problems. Uh,
Okay.
So I had a bicycle and a bungee cord. I was making $179 a month. I mean a week. Sorry, say $179 a week. I believe, because I was walking horses at the time. I hadn't become a groom yet, and I took $50 out of every paycheck, and I bought six $5 hot and ready pizzas every single day, and I
Okay.
would strap them to my bicycle, and I would go around town to the homeless people, and I would give them a pizza, and then I'd sit down beside them and I'd say, "Tell me your story, brother. Share some wisdom with me." And
Mm.
that through doing that, I was able to learn to communicate with people. by not having to, I wasn't the focus wasn't on me. So I was able to see, fear and anxiety are not, they don't actually exist.
Right.
They're false red flags that your brain throws whenever your conscious mind is creating some kind of false reality, because your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what you make up in your head and what actually happens. So that's why people get anxious. That's where anxiety comes from. Is it's a false fear. And now, so when I would sit down with these people, and a majority of them ended up being veterans, which was really sad. But I'd sit down with them, I'd give them a pizza, and I'd just sit there and listen to their story. And I heard some of the most profound things that that I've ever come across in my life. Just sit there and listening to these people's story, and I I started writing down certain things that they were saying, and just really trying to do more than hear them, but listen to the real message behind the words, what they're really meaning, what's the real gems, the real jewels that you get. And I realized that every person, it is true that every person is a book worth reading if you're only willing to turn the pages and look past the cover. It's it was it was a turning point in my life. I
That's awesome.
realized.
Well, let me
Go
ask you
ahead.
about that because you had anxiety, right? Going into a mall, going into places that had a lot of people. So when you
Mhm.
would go into the homeless areas, did you not have any anxiety? And if not, do you
I
think it
did.
was you did still have it? So what made you decide then to do what you did? Because at that point, you hadn't overcome your anxieties yet. But what did you do?
Well,
What
that's
was it
what.
that made you decide to go into the homeless encampments and do the pizza thing?
Well, it was basically just I noticed that everywhere I went on my bicycle there were homeless people. So they were plentiful. There was no shortage, and I didn't. But I started talking to them so that I could learn to communicate and chat with strangers in other places, because I
Mm,
realized that if I can distract my mind when I'm in Walmart or the mall or wherever there's these crowd of people, then the anxiety goes away. And that's what solidified the fact that it's not real to me, because I realized, I mean, look, if I can distract my mind and it's not focusing on these false fears that are not even logical, then it can't be real. It can't be a disease. It's a conscious action. Even though people
mm,
say, well, no, I don't consciously do it. You actually do. You just don't realize it. And what now? So talking to these people, I realized I was learning how to communicate, because to me, for people that don't know what Asperger's is a neurological abnormality that hinders your natural abilities to communicate with others, understand social cues, and emotional responses, things of that nature. Like, I don't know when I'm making people angry until they snap on me, and I don't know if you're laughing at me or with me, things of that nature. If you've ever
mm,
seen The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon has Asperger's, so
right.
that tells you anything. But so to me, communicating with others was equivalent to me taking you, dropping you in a country you've never been in, and tell it without any way of communication with the other person, no translator to help you out, and me saying, okay, go now, talk to those people, understand them, communicate with. That's what it's like to me whenever I'm trying to figure out people. So I sat down with these homeless people and I just listened to their story, and I'd watch their facial expressions when they said certain things. I would take notes on how people act when I talk about specific subjects, what I shouldn't talk about, how to make people feel better, what things did I say in conversation that uplifted them versus what put them in a bad place in their mind.
Mm,
And I realized I was designing an arsenal. I just didn't notice it at the time, and it's now things that I use on stage to move the crowd emotionally, or it all comes from those encounters. Now, what I did was I took that once I felt confident. I did this for about 8.5 months, every day, for about eight
Wow.
and a half months, and I was so when I felt comfortable or comfortable-ish, I started going to Walmart. And I did have several panic attacks in attempting to go in there and work through it and everything. But I would go to Walmart and I would go up to random people and I would just be like, "Hey man, dude, that's an awesome shirt, dude. I just want to tell you have a good day, man. Be blessed." Or just walk up to a woman and be like, "Ma'am, you have gorgeous hair. I love that necklace. You have a blessed day." Like whatever it may be, and just little compliments, little things here and there, and it was making me more and more comfortable around people. And I realized so long as people are happy and they feel good, that and I can keep the vibration that is coming from their body at a high, if I can keep that frequency at a high enough vibration, then I don't feel anxious. Because when people, you ever had somebody stare at the back of your neck and you can feel them, you turn around, they're looking at you? You ever had that
Yep.
happen? Okay. Well, what is
Yep.
that? What causes that is we have what's known as a heart field. It can be measured from over 100 yards away. Your body gives off electromagnetic pulses, and your brain works like a radio tower, and your heart is what emits this signal. Your brain actually emits the signal, but it can only be measured from about 10, 15 feet away. But your heart emits this signal, and that vibrates on a specific frequency. Now, when that vibration's at a low frequency and your vibration's at a higher frequency, it's just like the static you get in the radio. That's that feeling that you get when someone's looking at you. But one of the things you'll notice is someone who's at a really high vibration, you either will not feel them looking at you, or the sensation will be so strong that you have to turn around and look because you're vibrating on the same frequency. Now, this is proven through physics, and that's a whole other conversation. So, yeah, that's basically how I
I can't. There
overcame.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't able to unmute myself for some reason. Sometimes I'll mute myself so you don't hear any like the background noise that I have here. But that is really interesting. I never thought of it that way. That is so cool. You're gonna have another name. You're gonna have to translate. Lucia, she says, "Hello, Tucker and Linda." So not right now, but you can translate hers later.
What is that? How
But
do you
that
spell it?
is, it's interesting because I've been Lucia. And that is interesting. So LUC. What's interesting about that is I've more recently been understanding about different frequencies and people actually vibrating at different frequencies, not realizing that that's what it is. Like for example, when I was in school, junior high and high school, I played in the band, in the marching band. And so we went on marching band trips and we marched in parades and we had competitions. So when we're at the competition, the award ceremony, everybody's excitement is such highly elevated, right? Because we're all excited because we might win at something. And so everybody's elevating at that higher frequency. Same with like if you go to a rock concert, same kind of thing, right? People are elevating at a higher frequency because they're in that excitement mode. So if you can put yourself into places where you're more in that excitement time, then it's interesting because you'll connect with people who are there as well. I guess it's like
Absolutely.
kind of what I'm saying. But yeah, and I recognize that I've attended, some personal development events that I've attended where I walk out of there and my body is literally like a buzz. It's just everything's buzzing from my brain all the way down to my toes. And I can just feel that magnetic energy going throughout my body because I'm experiencing this just different level of frequency, I guess is what it is.
It's a frequency. It's a combination of high vibration and dopamine. The brain releases massive amounts of dopamine whenever you're vibrating at a high frequency, which is equivalent to doing cocaine or any other drug. You're drinking alcohol, so on and so forth. And it can actually even be more powerful than that in those kind of situations where you have a group of people vibrating on the same frequency. Oh, and by the way, I translated her name.
Mm.
Like,
Okay, Lucia.
So
What is
Lucia
it?
would be Lemov Sidijab.
Oh, that's a short name.
Yeah,
That's a short one.
Lemov Sidijab. It would be her name.
You have to put that in the comments so they can see how to say their own names. So Kristen
It's
came up
hard to
with
say.
Tucker's evolved amazing language. Is that what teal stand for?
It might be. I
We
don't
weren't sure on
remember.
that one.
That
Yeah.
might have been it, actually. Uh, or it might have been alien language. Tucker's evolved alien language. I think
Okay.
that was it.
There you go.
Yeah,
That fits
but
better, it seems.
it was. I
Yeah, so
created it when I was in the fourth or fifth grade. I don't remember. Something like that.
that's so awesome. So what are you doing now? So now you're out there, you're speaking, you're motivating people, you have your own show you started called oh my gosh.
Stay
Uh,
humble hard. Live with
yes. Oh my gosh. I totally drew a blank. Sorry about that.
my
Stay humble,
logo is
hustle
actually
hard.
tattooed on my arm.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
It's also on the screen. You can't see it, but it's up on the screen above your head too.
Oh,
I have it on the
cool.
screen there. It's been up there the whole time. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's
so what
awesome.
do you see? Where do you see that going, or what do you see for your future?
Oh, it's huge. I just became recently. I became a VIP ambassador for Manny Lopez, and I will be speaking at Cervex. I plan on
Awesome.
traveling the world and speaking. I want to create. I'm going to be. I'm working on my own event that I will be hosting along with several other people, and I'm working on a book that will be released soon. I'll be actually be giving my book away for free, and that'll be The Guru Within. That's a heck of a story that everybody's gonna want to get a copy of. It's a lot of fun. It's all based on true events, and it will unlock a version of you that you didn't even know was possible. It's a heck of a journey. But yes,
Cool.
I'm going right now is like I help people. What I'm currently doing is with my show, I get paid by my sponsors. On top of that, I help people get apps built for their business. If someone has a business, they need more leads. If they are just trying to get their name out there, if they're trying to get contacts within their industry, I partnered with Manny Lopez, and I get people apps built at insane discounts, and get them
Hmm.
to work with Manny as well, like one-on-one mentoring, and it's really cool. But besides that, I just inspire people every day. I do Tucker's morning motivation every day at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'm thinking about starting doing that on Saturday and Sunday too. But
And
I
that's
do.
Central Time, right? Yeah,
Yes,
Central
ma'am.
Time.
Yes, ma'am. Central
Central Time.
Standard. And Stay Humble, Hustle Hard Live. It's a show where I interview men and women building this country one business at a time, so we can dig down deep and find the why behind the message, or the why behind the business. Because I don't really care what you're selling. I want to know why you're selling it. I want to know why it is that you do what
Right,
you do,
right,
and that's what.
right. And that's awesome. So why don't you, we have like a couple minutes left. Why don't you give us some parting thoughts on, like, if you're a person who is experiencing anxiety, or if you've, been diagnosed with, having Asperger's, like maybe a couple tips that they can do to maybe help them overcome that so that they can experience the success that they want to experience in life.
I would say burn your ships. uh, burn
Partnerships.
remove your way out. There was a great warrior, a general that led a massive army to overthrow a land at one point, and the warriors in that land were known for being highly skilled, and they knew that they were basically walking into the face of doom. And when they got there and the soldiers moved over the hill, the general came back and burned all the ships. He removed the way of retreat. If you remove the way of retreat, you only have one choice, and that's to move, and that is to succeed. I said I would rather die than not be able to go into public, not be able to enjoy myself around other people, not be able to socialize, and not be able to stand on a stage in front of 10,000 people and change their lives forever. Because if you obtain knowledge capable of improving the lives of others, it is a raw act of selfishness to withhold that information from the world. So if you want to overcome anxiety, the answer is burn your ships and go balls to the wall. You can change little bitty things every day. It doesn't have to be a massive change overnight. You could just practice, walk up to one random person every day and just say, "Hi, how are you?" And if they walk away, they walk away. If they start up a conversation, then you have practice. But do it, and then it'll get easier and easier and easier. And work on complimenting people. Keep the conversation on the other person, because when it's on you, that's where the nervousness comes from. They're talking about you. But when you're talking about them, the focus is on them. And just take easy little steps like that, and then they will build up. And look, because you got to remember, it's just like an eagle's nest. If you look up into an eagle's nest, you realize that the most beautiful things in this world are made up of broken pieces that are brought together to do something great. And that's what we are. We're a compilation of broken pieces. And it's okay to feel that and understand that. But it is not okay to give in and say, I'm just not going to experience life, and I'm going to suffer for the rest of my life and make excuses and blame my mental abnormality or neurological abnormality, and just rot away somewhere and become stagnant. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. You have information capable of improving the lives of others. You have a message that the world needs to hear. And if you can't hold that from the world, that's selfish. You can change lives. You can save
Totally
lives.
agree.
Like, for real. It's, as inspirational speakers, like, it's not arrogant to say that we're superheroes. We save people's lives. When you share a message that someone needed to hear that day. I've had, you don't understand how many people have called
Mm-hmm.
me and said, I was on the verge of suicide, and I heard what you said, and it just gave me hope and made me realize that everything's going to be okay. You can do that for people, and there's no greater service in this world than service to others. And I'll just leave them with this.
That is so true.
I'll leave them with a final statement, and that is it.
Okay.
If you can be the spark that lights the way through the darkness for even one person a day, your entire life will be worthwhile. How about that?
Definitely. You guys heard it right here. So thank you, Tucker. We're out of time, but I want to thank you so much for being here, sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and your story. I didn't know that some of those other parts of your story. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure I'll continue to follow you and see you, speaking on Serve X. That's awesome. Congratulations, and all the stuff that you're doing. And, changing people's lives, just like you said, when we get out there and we share our story, we share our voice, there's one person out there that needs to hear it. You not sharing it, you are being very selfish. So it's time to get out there, share your story, because you're the story that somebody else needs to hear. So I'm here with Tucker Bearden, and go to tuckerbearden.com. It's on the screen. Go check him out if you want to have him speak at one of your events. If you want to have help with building apps and doing anything else that he mentioned, please go to tuckerbearden.com, reach out to him. And you guys have an amazing day, and we will see you next time. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye now.